It all started in the early 1900s. The British Empire was fading. The Wright brothers had just taken flight, and across the Atlantic, a quiet revolution was beginning in America. An Englishman named William J. Riley made his way to Boston, Massachusetts, the city of Harvard, MIT, and big ideas. But while the great minds of the era were chasing medicine and machines, Riley was thinking about something simpler: shoes. He believed there had to be a better way to make them, shoes that were more comfortable, more supportive, more natural. One afternoon, as Riley looked out into his backyard, he noticed the chickens pecking the ground. They stood perfectly balanced, light on their feet, calm and stable. And that's when it hit him. The key to balance was in their feet. Their 3 claws formed a perfect triangle, distributing weight evenly no matter how they moved. Inspired, Riley grabbed his notebook and began to sketch. What if human shoes could mimic that natural balance? That single observation led to the birth of the New Balance Arch Support Company in 1906. He began crafting custom arch supports with a 3-point system inspired by the chicken foot. These weren't ordinary shoe inserts, they were revolutionary. Designed for stability and comfort, they became popular among people who spent long hours on their feet: police officers, firefighters, and factory workers. By the late 1920s, New Balance was quietly growing, even as the Great Depression destroyed thousands of other businesses. Riley partnered with Arthur Hall, a sharp salesman, who helped him reach a new audience: athletes. Runners and basketball players started using New Balance arch supports to gain stability and reduce fatigue. In 1938, Riley produced his first ever pair of sneakers, a custom-made running shoe for a young athlete in Boston. Still, the company remained small. It wasn't until 1956, when the business was sold to Eleanor and Paul Kidd, that New Balance's story took its next leap. Eleanor, Arthur Hall's daughter, inherited her father's drive, and together with Paul, she transformed the company from a niche support manufacturer into a shoe brand. In 1960, they introduced a game-changer, the Trackster. It was the world's first running shoe available in multiple widths, allowing for a personalized fit. It had a rippled sole for traction and comfort, unlike anything else on the market. For the first time, running shoes weren't just one size fits all, they were built for you. Teams, college athletes, and marathon runners loved it. The Trackster became their go-to shoe. But there was one problem. Retail stores didn't have the space to stock all those widths, so the kids did what New Balance always did best. They adapted. They focused on quality, on individuality, and slowly built a loyal following among those who valued performance over popularity. Then came the 1970s, and a new chapter began. On the morning of the 1972 Boston Marathon, a man named Jim Davis bought New Balance. At the time, it was a tiny company with just 6 employees, making fewer than 30 pairs of shoes a day. But Davis saw something others didn't. He didn't want to compete with Nike, Adidas, or Puma. He wanted to outlast them. He refined the brand, gave it an identity, and introduced the now iconic N logo, designed by Terry Heckler, the same mind behind the Starbucks logo. In 1976, the New Balance 320 was released, and it became an instant sensation. Runners loved its comfort, its functionality, and its performance. Runner's World magazine even named it the best running shoe of the year. While other brands fought for celebrity endorsements and flashy designs, New Balance stayed humble and expensive. In 1982, they launched the 990 model at a record-breaking retail price of $100, the first athletic shoe to hit that price point. But people paid it because they trusted the quality. And here's where it gets interesting. Before Michael Jordan became the face of Nike, he wore New Balance. Long before the Air Jordan era, it was New Balance that athletes across America, including young Jordan, relied on for comfort and reliability. But while Nike chased fame, New Balance stayed loyal to its roots. Their ads proudly declared them as the ma and pa of sneakers. They didn't chase hype, they celebrated simplicity. It was the ultimate anti-fashion statement. Yet ironically, that very authenticity would make them fashionable decades later. When Steve Jobs walked on stage to unveil the first iPhone in 2007, he wore a black turtleneck, blue jeans, and a pair of gray New Balance 992s. Without trying, he turned the dad shoe into a Silicon Valley power symbol. Fast forward to the 2010s, and suddenly, New Balance was everywhere again. Celebrities like Timothée Chalamet, Hailey Bieber, and Jack Harlow were wearing them, embracing the brand's understated coolness. A new generation saw something fresh in their simplicity, the same thing Riley saw in his chickens all those years ago: balance. Collaborations with fashion houses like Aimé Leon Dore reignited the brand's fire. When they redesigned the New Balance 550 in 2021, demand skyrocketed by over 20 times. The dad shoe was now a collector's item. By 2022, New Balance's revenue grew by more than 20%. The company now earns over $5 billion a year, employs more than 8,000 people worldwide, and still calls Boston its home. They even stepped into football, signing a massive partnership with Liverpool FC worth over $40 billion. And yet, through all this evolution, their philosophy never changed. They never stopped putting comfort first. They never stopped focusing on the science of movement. In fact, New Balance still runs its own biomechanical research lab to test its shoes and help athletes perform better. To this day, when you open a new pair of New Balance shoes, you'll find a chicken printed inside the box, a humble tribute to the inspiration that started it all. From a backyard observation to a global icon, New Balance has proven something few brands ever could: that staying true to yourself, even when the world runs the other way, can be the ultimate key to success. Because while fashion fades, balance lasts forever.